Hello class 8th. We are doing chapter number 2 of history, which is from trade to territory. In this chapter we already discussed about the battle of Buxar, the battle of Plassey, and about the tiger of Mysore. Now we will discuss about the war between the Marathas. The war between the Marathas and British East India Company. Now the company want to control Maratha kingdom also. Maratha, those they are living in southern part of India, and the British East India Company want to control the another side of India also, which is under control of Maratha. Now the next target is Marathas, war with the Marathas. From the late 18th century, the company also sought to curb and eventually destroyed Maratha power. Now they want to destroy कर देना चाहती थी that Maratha powers with their defeat in the third battle of Panipat in 1761. This is very important question for you, that the third battle of Panipat in between the Marathas and company, which is held in 1761. The Marathas' dream of ruling from Delhi was shattered. Marathas want to control Delhi, but after the battle of Panipat, their dream is destroyed. They were divided into many states under different chiefs. Chief means Sardars. The group of Maratha is divided into several parts belonging to dynasties such as Sindhya, Holkar, Gaikwad and Bhosle. These groups, group जो name है, you heard in Maharashtra also, that Sindhya, Holkar, Gaikwad and Bhosle. These chiefs were held together in confederacy under a Peshwa. Peshwa means principal minister. In Marathas, two main posts are there. The one is Peshwa and the second is Chhatrapati. We know very well Chhatrapati Shivaji. So Chhatrapati is a post, it means head of, and the second one is Peshwa. Peshwa means Peshwa means prime minister and Chhatrapati means president. So the Chhatrapati post is higher than Peshwa. Peshwa is like a prime minister. So principal ministers who became its effective military and administrative head based in Pune. Now the Peshwa of Maratha Empire, he is living in Pune. Pune. Mahanji Sindhya and Nana Fadnasi were two famous Maratha soldiers and statesmen of the late 18th century. In the 18th century, these two famous Maratha soldiers, they are most famous Maratha soldiers. The first one is Mahanji Sindhya and the second one is Nana Fadnis. Next is the Maratha were subdued in a series of wars. They are lost during these wars. In the first war, they ended in 1782. The first war where they lost in 1782 with the Treaty of Salbai. The Treaty of Salbai, there was no clear victor. In this war, which was held in 1782, in this war, no one is clear victor. The second Anglo-Maratha war, which was held in 1803 to 05, was fought on different fronts, resulting in the British gaining Odisha and the territories north of the Yamuna river, including Agra and Delhi. In the first war, which was held between the Maratha and Britishers in 1782, in this war, no clear victor. So, and the second war, which was held in 1803 to 05, in this war, British gained Odisha and the territories of Yamuna river, including Agra and Delhi. Now they control over Agra and Delhi. Finally, the third Anglo-Maratha war. In between the 1817 and 1819 crushed Maratha power. In this war, the third last war, in this war, the Maratha power was fully crushed by the Britishers. The Peshwa was removed and sent away to Bithur near Kanpur. Near Kanpur, Bithur is a place. In this place, the Peshwa was removed. Peshwa was removed and sent to Bithur, which is near Kanpur, with a pension. Pension means money which was given by Britishers to Maratha. The company now had complete control over the territories south of the Vindhya. The territories of south, now they are fully controlled in the hand of Britishers. Next one is the claim of paramountry. The next one is the claim to paramountcy. See, it means that they are claiming for power. They want to control all over the India. It is clear that it is clear from the above that from the early 19th century the company pursued an aggressive policies of territorial expansion. Country want to control India, and for this they want to implement many policies to acquire several parts of India. In order to protest its interest, it was justified in annexing or threatening to annex any Indian kingdom. It means whenever they want to annex any Indian kingdoms, then many Indians, they were fought against the Britishers. The first point is the process, however, did not go unchallenged. For example, when the British tried to annex the small state of Kittur, the Britishers, when they tried to small part of Kittur, now Kittur is in Karnataka, Rani Chennamma took to arms and led an anti-British resistant movement. In this example, it is clearly shown that when the Britishers want to control Kittur, then the Rani of Kittur, which is Rani Chennamma, she fought against the Britishers. She was arrested in 1824 and died in prison in 1829. After arresting her, she was died in 1829 by Raina, a poor chokidar. Raina is a poor chokidar who is of Singholi in Kittur. There are several examples, they fought against the Britishers. Now in the late 1830s, the East India Company became worried about the Russia. They thought that Russian people, they will expand across Asia and entered India from the northwest area. So now they want to control Afghanistan also. They fought a prolonged war with Afghanistan between 1838 to 1842 and established indirect company rule there. Now the Britishers fought against the Russians, and they want to control Afghanistan also. They fought 1838 to 1842 and control over the Afghanistan. Now Sindh was taken over in 1843. Now after Sindh, the next target of British East India Company is Punjab. But in Punjab, Maharana Ranjit Singh held back the company. After Maharana Ranjit Singh was a powerful ruler, so that they fought with British East India Company and the company get back. After his death in 1839, two prolonged wars were fought with the Sikh kingdom. After the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, two powerful wars between the Sikh and Maharaja Ranjit Singh. But after all, in 1849, Punjab was annexed by British East India Company. Now the next policy is doctrine of lapse. This is the most important policy. You should know about this. It is very important point. Doctrine of lapse. In this policy, what is new? The final wave of annexation occurred under Lord Dalhousie. The doctrine of lapse, it is started by the Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor General from 1848 to 1856. Lord Dalhousie, he was a Governor General from 1848 to 1856. He devised a policy that's come to be known as the Doctrine of Lapse. The Doctrine of Lapse policy was started by Lord Dalhousie. The doctrine declared that if any Indian rulers died without a male heir, his kingdoms would lapse, that is, become part of company territory. If it means that if a king will die and he has no son, then his territory was annexed by the British East India Company. One kingdom after another was annexed simply by applying this doctrine of lapse. Lord Dalhousie implemented this policy, and due to this policy, Satara in 1848, Sambalpur in 1850, Udaipur in 1852, Nagpur, and the last one is Jhansi. These territories was annexed by the British East India Company due to the doctrine of lapse. In this policy, if a king has no male heir, then the territory was annexed by British Company. Finally, in 1856, the company also took over Awadh. This time the British had an added argument. They said they were obliged by duty to take over Awadh in order to free the people from the misgovernment of the Nawab. Enraged by the humiliating way in which the Nawab was deposed, the people of Awadh joined the great revolt that broke out in 1857. In this paragraph, we discussed about the doctrine of lapse and the second policy which was implemented by the British East India Company, that they said that the king, he is not able to do, and he is not able to control his territory, so that we are annexing his territory. He is doing misgovernment. That's why we are taking his territory. First one is doctrine of lapse, which was started by the Lord Dalhousie. He is Governor General from 1848 to 1856. In this policy, if a king is not having any male heir, then the territory was annexed by Britishers. In this paragraph, setting up a new administration. In this paragraph, we will discuss that the Britishers started new administration system in India. Warren Hastings, Governor General from 1773 to 1785. We already discussed about him, that he was the first Governor General of India. He ruled between 1773 to 1785, was one of the many important figures who play a significant role in the expansion of company's power. He is a very powerful person and main person that he controlled. The annexation by the company was expanded in the time period of Warren Hastings. By his time, the company had acquired power not only in Bengal but also in Bombay and Madras. British territories was broadly divided into administrative units called presidencies. In that time, the capital is known as the main center, where the main authority, they control all over the part of British company. So these main points are known as presidencies. Presidencies means like suppose for India, Delhi is a union territory also, and Delhi is a main center of India. All the administrative offices are in Delhi. Like that, the presidencies at the time of British East India Company are playing the same role as Delhi. Presidencies, that time there were three presidencies, which was Bengal, Madras and Bombay. Now West Bengal, Madras is in south side, means Tamil Nadu, and the Bombay means Mumbai. Each was ruled by a governor. Every presidency has governors, and the person who control over the governor is known as Governor General. Governor General is the highest post, then governor. Governor control over presidencies. That time there were three main presidencies: Bengal, Madras and Bombay. The supreme head of the administration was the Governor General. Warren Hastings, the first Governor General, introduced several administrative reforms, notably in the sphere of justice. At that time, Governor General, who is Warren Hastings, he started many policies in India. Here some terms you can see here. The first one is Qazi. Qazi means a judge. Qazi means a judge. Mufti, a jurist of the Muslim community responsible for expounding the law that the Qazi would administer. In this, Mufti means when the Qazi is a judge, when he announce any verdict, then the verdict of the Qazi is depend on Mufti. Next one is impeachment, a trial by the House of Lords in England for charges of misconduct brought against a person in the House of Commons. It is a process in which if a person is charged of misconduct, then he brought against a person in the House of Commons. It means impeachment is a term which currently we are using this term for the removal of president. If we want to remove president from his position, then we use this term impeachment. Impeachment, in this word, the Hindi meaning is Mahabhiyog. It means to removal of president at that time. From 72, a new system of justice was established. Each district was to have two courts, criminal court and Faujdari Adalat. Criminal court means Faujdari Adalat, and the second one is civil court means Diwani Adalat. At that time there are two type of court. The first one is criminal court and the second one is civil court. Maulvis, in Muslim, Maulvis play a very important role. In Hindus, Pandit interpreted Indian laws for the European district collectors who presided over civil courts. The criminal courts were still under a Qazi and a Mufti, but under the supervision of the collectors. In this point, the one main important is the criminal court. The criminal court under the control of Qazi and Mufti. The decision was depend about the point of Qazi and Mufti. So next term is about in this time, the major problem was that Brahmans Pandit gave different interpretations of local laws based on their Dharam Shastra. They announced their verdict according to Dharam Shastra. And the next point is a new Supreme Court was established. While a court of appeal, the Sardar Nizamat Adalat was also set up at Calcutta. Here several points are there, that new courts and the new regulating act which was in 1773, they were implemented. The principal figure in an Indian district was the collector. The main person, it is very important person, name as collector. As the title suggested, his main job was to, the work of collector is collect revenue and taxes and maintain law and order in his district. Was the help of judges, police officers and darogas. His officers, the collectorate, become the new center of powers and patronage that steadily replaced previous holders of authority. It means that in the British time, the collector was the main person who collect revenue, taxes and maintain law and order in all the cases. The next, the company's army means Sawar, Dharam Shastra, Sawar, musket, matchlocks, many terms are there. In our next lecture, we will discuss about this. Thank you so much, class.